Back to News 3 today. On now to an important conversation. All month long, we've been unmasking domestic violence through a series of reports. Today, we are shining a light on the issues in the Black community. We'll start with a few sobering statistics. Now, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, more than 40% of Black women have experienced physical violence, sexual violence, and/or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And more than half of Black adult female homicides are related to intimate partner violence. Statistics show that Black women and men experience intimate partner abuse at a disproportionately high rate. But despite these findings, violence against members of the Black community often goes unreported. But why? Karen Alston is a domestic abuse survivor. She's also a national certified domestic violence advocate and the founder of For the Jewel in You, a global nonprofit that empowers victims of abuse. She is back this week to give us some perspective, and joining her is Dr. Bonzo Reddick, who is the director of the Coastal Health District and the author of the book, he brought it with him today, Health Equity, a guide for clinicians, medical educators, and healthcare organizations. Good morning Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We want to get into it right now because I know we're limited in time, but first, when it comes to domestic violence and people of color, particularly Black people, there are a lot of layers involved. Can you identify some of the factors that put us most at risk?
Sure. So if you look at the risk factors for domestic violence and intimate partner violence, a lot of the structural causes that really put you at risk for that, like income inequality, lack of adequate housing, those types of things are more prevalent in Black and African American communities. So just systemically and structurally, they're more at risk.
Now, Karen, I want to ask you, the community has lost or really never really had faith in some of our systems here that have been put in place to protect us. Why is that?
It comes with us wanting to be very strong in how we feel and we deal with things behind the closed doors. And we believe that our family bond keeps us where we say things that happen behind the closed doors should stay behind the closed doors. But we handle things totally differently in there, and it becomes a fear factor on how we handle certain situations.
Now, many people of color suffer in silence because of the fear of not being believed, being arrested, or being looked at as the aggressor. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so that's one thing that's real common. I talk a lot about implicit bias or unconscious bias, where people, they don't realize it, but they're more likely to believe certain people or to identify with certain people. That is very, very much a big factor in terms of maternal mortality that happens, where women, especially Black women who are in hospitals giving birth, often aren't believed about their symptoms, and sometimes there's deadly consequences. The same thing happens for intimate partner violence, where often if they call about something, someone maybe doesn't believe them or asks a lot of questions like, well, why didn't you leave, and kind of blames the victim. So that same kind of implicit bias that we see in other aspects of healthcare happens in intimate partner violence as well.
Now, Karen, from a survivor's standpoint, you've gone through this. Was this one of your fears?
My fear became when someone else called the police and then they're at the door and they're asking the perpetrator at that time. And the third time, every time they asked him, they needed to see me, and their voice became louder. And on the third time, he had to come in to say, they need to see you. They will not leave until they saw me. And each time, I'm still fearful to come to the door because I'm in the bathroom and I'm washing my face. But as I came to the door, there was safety there, but then the perpetrator was still right there. But I knew that the officers were angry. And so I could not even move to go to them because I didn't know how they were going to react to him, whether they were going to de-escalate the situation or was it going to get higher, and I didn't know what they would do to him or what he would do to me. And so I still became silent and trying to be that strong person to say, I'm okay, knowing even after they left the situation, it still may be detrimental. So a lot of people, you don't understand what's happening to the person at that time, and I couldn't make a instant decision that I needed to walk out.
Okay, now you mentioned this, you touched on this twice, the word strong and the stereotype of the strong Black woman. Does this play a part in that as well?
Yeah, and in addition, we also have to remember that obviously the women are disproportionately affected, but also, men as well. 1 out of every 9 men is a victim of domestic violence or intimate partner violence as well. And so that same stereotype is present often in Black communities in terms of views of masculinity, where it's kind of like, how are you going to say you were abused? Like, what's wrong with, like, there's something wrong with you if you allow yourself to be abused. So that's something that like is pervasive in our, really prevalent in our community in all genders. So so we see that a lot where people, you're supposed to be strong and get through this. And like you said, also keep things in house.
Okay,
Yes.
now we're going to move on to some statistics, but what needs to change? What needs to change?
Education needs to change, and we need to realize that just doing this in October is not enough, because domestic violence does happen 365 days out of the year, and education is it is so crucial for us understanding what is happening to individuals.
All right, Karen, Dr. Reddick, thank you so much for joining us. Some more statistics for you right now. Black women are more than 3 times likely to be killed by a current or former partner than members of other racial groups. 41% of black women experience physical violence at the hands of an intimate partner, compared to 31% of white women, 30% of Hispanic women, and 15% of Asian or Pacific Islander women. 9% of black women were raped by their intimate partners, and 17% experienced sexual violence. Now, if you or someone you know needs help, contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. That number 800-799-72, and there's another number that's left off of there, but 727?
799-SAFE.
Okay,
SAFE.
thank you so much, Dr. Reddick. And you can also contact Safe Shelters 24-hour hotline, or for the Jewel in You Global at 912-224-8509. For more, visit our website, wsav.com/domestic violence.